In 2008, the private jet industry nearly collapsed. Companies were canceling orders left and right. Executives were driving to meetings instead of flying because the optics of stepping off a Gulfstream during a recession would end careers. Congressional leaders literally forced auto CEOs to sell their jets before asking for bailout money. And then, quietly, the industry came back, stronger than ever. Today, there are more private jets in the air than at any point in history. But the gap between the cheapest ticket into this world and the absolute top is wider than you think. One guy pays $2,000 for his seat. Another pays $75 million for the plane. Same runway, completely different realities. These are the 7 levels of private aviation. Spoiler alert, the planes have very little to do with it. Level 1. Semi-private and empty legs. This is where most people first taste private aviation. The entire point of this level is to make you feel like you've arrived, even when you haven't quite arrived yet. Operators like JSX offer fixed routes for $500 to $2,000. No TSA lines, no taking your shoes off. But you're sitting in a 30-seat cabin, and the guy next to you might have brought a tuna sandwich. Or you catch an empty leg for a couple of grand. Who flies this? The startup founder who just closed a seed round and wants the FBO selfie. The real estate agent who needs to impress a client with a flashy arrival. The convenience? Real. The flexibility? Zero. The plane leaves when it leaves. And that brings us to the golden rule of this industry. Flexibility is the product you buy starting at Level 2. Level 2. Light jets. On-demand charter. This is where actual private aviation begins. You pick the time. You pick the airport. The plane waits for you, not the other way around. Light jets seat 6 to 8 people and fly for 2 to 3 hours. It'll run you $4,000 to $8,000 per flight hour. Who lives here? The mid-market CEO, the law firm partner who needs to hit 3 meetings in 2 different cities in one day. They look at the numbers and realize chartering is actually cheaper than buying 5 last-minute first-class commercial tickets plus hotel nights for the whole team. This is the level where someone does the math, shows it to their CFO, and the CFO stares at the spreadsheet before quietly saying, yes. Level 3. Mid and super mid-sized jets. Here, private aviation stops being a taxi with wings and becomes serious business infrastructure. Stand-up cabins, enclosed lavatories, enough range to fly coast to coast from New York to LA non-stop. The price tag hits $6,000 to $12,000 an hour. A brutal commercial itinerary that would take 2 days is executed in 1. Who buys this? The family office that looked at their flight budget and realized chartering 200 hours a year was getting too expensive. The Challenger 350 is the sweet spot of the entire market. Most serious clients settle here and never move up. They don't move up because the next level is about luxury, and they were only buying efficiency. Level 4. Heavy jets. For the first time, the cabin matters as much as the destination. Cost? Up to $16,000 an hour. Full galleys, flight attendants, hot meals, multiple cabin zones. The jet is no longer competing with commercial first class. It's competing with a 5-star hotel suite. And winning. Deal negotiations happen here at 40,000 feet. Families fly cross-country with kids sleeping in a separate zone, while the parents have dinner 2 rows up like they're in a restaurant. Who lives here? The private equity managing partner flying 250 hours a year. This is the level where fractional or whole ownership first makes absolute financial sense. It's where the math separates the wealthy from the seriously wealthy. Level 5. Ultra-long range. At this level, distance stops existing. $75 million for the plane. New York to Tokyo, London to Singapore. Non-stop. No fuel stops. No customs and transit airports. No schedule disruptions. Point A to point B, anywhere on the planet. Who buys this? The billionaire for whom Tuesday in Singapore and Thursday in London isn't a business trip, it's just the weekly schedule. The tech founder who sold for 9 figures. They live on this plane the same way you live in an apartment, except their apartment flies at Mach 0.9. Level 6. VIP airliners. Here, private aviation stops being a jet and becomes a residence. These are commercial Boeings and Airbuses, ripped out and redesigned for the private market. 6 distinct cabin zones, stand-up showers. List price, $80 to $100 million fully completed. You won't find the owners of these planes on the Forbes list. Not because they aren't rich enough, but because they are wealthy enough to stay off the list. Royal families, industrial dynasty heirs. For 99% of humanity, a Gulfstream is the ultimate dream, but the residents of Level 6 simply don't understand how anyone can survive a 12-hour flight in a tube with only one living room. Level 7, the final level, head of state. This isn't private aviation anymore. This is political power with wings. Air Force One is a highly modified Boeing 747, costing an estimated $5.3 billion. A medical suite, mid-air refueling capabilities, electromagnetic pulse protection. It functions as a mobile command center during a national crisis. The Sultan of Brunei or the King of Saudi Arabia don't just fly on a plane. They fly with a fleet of wide-body aircraft moving motorcades, support staff, and diplomatic infrastructure. These are not jets. They are sovereign embassies with engines. Every other industry sells you a product: leather, speed, status. But private aviation sells you the only resource on Earth you cannot manufacture, earn, or duplicate. The jet was never the point. What you do with the time is.